all, okay. All right, we're good to go, Val. Maybe you want to start.
Okay, so timekeeper and speaking order. Last session, CCEA Bree was our timekeeper, so I volunteer to keep time of the district.
I'll do it.
Tell me your name again?
Shanna Florio.
Florio. And speaking order. CCEA, someone from CCEA, speaking order?
I guess y'all are looking at me.
All right,
so-
Samantha, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Church wills. This means you gotta keep your eye out for people that
Yeah.
have their hands up, that's all.
That's the harder of the two.
It is the harder of the two. All right, so, I believe we left off looking at a whole mess of things.
Mhm.
We had a very thorough insurance, presentation. I know that the road show is ongoing now and
Just 12 more to go.
that's okay, all right. So the word is getting out that there's an increase, coming in the insurance premiums. And so we, of course, want to begin some conversations about economics tonight.
Mhm.
But because I feel like we've made some kind of progress with the grievance article, can I ask that we start with that?
Yes.
Okay. So,
I would like to talk about TSIA tonight, though.
sure, how about we put that right after grievance?
Absolutely not a problem.
Okay, so the first thing I want to share with you.
Is
we
this
had-
what you sent?
It is.
Okay.
It is. The first thing I want to share with you, we talked about how portions of the grievance process don't speak to at what level can a grievance begin, and we were trying to think about what scenarios might we have where a grievance wouldn't necessarily begin with your direct supervisor and what then, right? And so took a look at sample language from a couple of different contracts. So you see Pasco, Marion, Hillsborough, and Levy. Each offer some kind of language that allows, in certain cases, for the grievance process to begin outside of the worksite level. Right? Most of the time, when a grievance is filed outside of the worksite level, it's dealing with a class action type grievance, where something that is triggering the infringement on the contract has come from above the school level, right? If it's a district-wide communication that says we're doing A, B, and C now, well, that's not the individual administrator that receives that grievance to fight at every single work site. A class action grievance would be used to address that matter. And so I sifted through the language examples and was able to come up with a fresh draft. Now this is going to look different than the last one we looked at. The last time I gave you a very clean version of the cleaning up of the language. What you're seeing now is a strike-through version. So you're seeing the original language with all the strikes and underscores. Remember that our formatting for the purposes of changing existing contract language is strike through old language and underline anything that's new. So whatever you see that's underlined here is part of the new language, and anything that's struck through is being removed. This is sort of the way it will be presented to the bargaining unit at the time of ratification. Right? They will see what the old language was with marks indicating what the new language is. So along with trying to address that one piece about where does a grievance get filed if it's if the problem doesn't originate at the work site. I've done a couple of other little cleanups, thank you, for the purpose of discussion here tonight. And so the very first one I want to draw your attention to, I tried to highlight those changes so that you would see them, they would stand out for you. The very first one is in the definition of the grievance. I've added or board policy. And the rationale for suggesting that change is that we, a clean, common process for addressing when there's misapplication of board policy makes sense, that it looks the same each time. But also, there are things that are included in board policy that are direct impacts to working conditions that we don't have in our contract. Mostly because those are items that impact people outside of our bargaining unit too, right? So, example being, board policy 6.16, confidentiality of social security numbers, right? If something were to happen and your social security number were to be inadvertently shared and somehow made public, or open you up to the possibility of somebody committing fraud using your ID, there would be recourse. Another example might be the sick leave bank, which does not exist in our contract. It exists as part of board policy, right? So if someone is under the board-approved procedures for the sick bank policy is turned down, if there was a problem in the implementation of the existing policy, there's a path to address that, right? You'll find at the bottom of the page, there is the caveat that because board policy is not in contract, it's not contract language, it cannot be taken to arbitration. So if we come across a conflict with the way that, or misapplication of board policy, informal discussion, formal steps 1 and 2, and from there, the district's interpretation of the board policy is what prevails. But at least it gives the avenue to address it.
I have a question on that.
Sure.
Real quick, Val. With the one with the district policy.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, that would be if someone violated the district policy, they could contact Human Resources, fill out a formal complaint form. So if someone decides to fill out a grievance, is that in lieu of
Correct.
the formal complaint? So it's not like, okay, this didn't go the way I wanted, so now I'm gonna,
Absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely.
And I'm only saying that because if, sometimes it is a singular person
Right.
where the event occurred and I didn't want it to be,
Right,
okay.
exactly,
All right, just
exactly.
wanna make sure I understood that one.
Yeah, these are either or scenarios. If you're gonna agree, you can't file a alternative appeal path. The other thing you'll notice is that I alleviated one of the dilemmas in the original language. Oh, and I didn't follow my own procedures here. What you should see in number 7 on the bottom of the first page is striking through reference to discharge of tenured teachers. You remember last time we
Yeah.
met, I asked y'all to think about that. I'm not sure I knew what any of those words really meant. Discharge of a tenured teacher could be a lot of things. It could be someone who's been with the district for a really long time on continuing contract, could be a teacher who's on PSC, could be something that no longer exists in the district, and then discharge could be a lot of different, people get let go for a lot of different reasons, right? If it's not a termination, could be layoff or recall, which we have existing language for layoff recall, which does afford employees with seniority and experience some considerations. And that, we would believe, is something that is arbitrable. Arbitrable. I have to always slow down to say that. So my suggestion would be alleviate the dilemma of trying to sort through what does it mean when the old contract language asked for us to stop the grievance process at the superintendent level when it comes to discharge of tenured teachers. The truth is, if someone is being terminated, that there are appeals processes in statute which are applicable for that,
Yes.
right? So, to me, it makes good sense to clarify that arbitration is the step that applies only in circumstances where the contract language application is being questioned, right? So if you're questioning the district's application of, say, sick bank, you can't take that to arbitration because it doesn't exist in our contract, right? You can take it as far as the superintendent in the grievance process. Only the things that live in our contract are the things that can be taken to arbitration. So that's what the new number 7 is meant to clarify. Does that part make sense? Okay. The next highlighted portions on the back of the first page. My suggestion is we consider a new number 11 under miscellaneous, which stipulates when meetings are held for the purpose of resolving grievances that are scheduled during the workday, the association representative and/or grievant will be provided release time without loss of pay. That's pretty standard language in most contracts, and the reason it exists is to ensure that employees are not deprived of their right to grieve simply because they do not have sick leave to take as personal time for the process. Then we get into what I hope is the fix for our timelines, right? So the timeline for filing grievance in level 1, the informal step, I'm just suggesting that an informal meeting will be requested within 10 working days of an alleged violation. So within 10 days of the infraction occurring, you contact administration and request the meeting, right? And from there, there's 5 days for administration to meet with you. When you get to level 2, in number 1, I'm providing clarification of the ability to file the grievance above the worksite level in the instance of class action type grievances. So if the nature of the grievance requires resolution above the worksite level, as in a class action grievance, the district's director of human resources shall be the designated administrator for step 1 of the formal grievance. So we've had some informal conversations at a couple different work sites, and we're realizing that the issue stems from direction that came from the district level. There was a supervisor or an assistant superintendent or somebody that put something out that just is a conflict and it's hitting in multiple work sites. Then the grievance really goes through HR as opposed to going through every work site individually, which will save us all a lot of work. Continuing to step 1, the administrator step for formal grievance, taking language, I believe Sean had recommended that we frame it as within so many days of the disposition of the informal, that's the timeline for filing step 1. Yes, sir.
Going back to the last highlighted section.
Yes, sir.
Where it says the district's director of human resources, should it also say or designate?
It could, meaning that the director of human resources may designate someone to
May not be present.
be responsible for hearing. Okay.
I don't mean to speak for you, Gary, but I mean, if that's
You
just
got
like.
the
if-
words
if-
out quicker than me.
Yeah, if Gary's not here, it would be the coordinator, yeah. If for some reason Director of Human Resources is unavailable, is out of town for a couple weeks, that's not a reason for this to be kicked down the road for for 2 weeks. There should be someone else that can address it.
Okay, so
That makes
organizer or
sense, yeah.
designate. Okay.
Thank you, Gary. I didn't even notice that, but yes.
Okay, so I'm a visual learner. And consequently, I sometimes have to diagram stuff to make it make sense. So I'll share with you, so kind of a flow chart that lays out the timeline for the grievance process. I know that before we had noticed, Ms. Merchant had pointed it out, that there was an inconsistency in the timeline between the informal versus filing the step one formal, and you might find yourself in a situation where your timeline to file the formal was upon you before you'd even gotten disposition of the informal. So my hope is it's a cleanup in the language, makes it flow a little bit more like what you see here. And if all proceeds according to the plan, your informal level of the grievance process is conducted and completed within 15 working days, right? So it's not a long, drawn-out process waiting for an informal resolution. The formal step one with the administrator, because we know how crazy things can be for administrators on any given day in a building. The formal step one gives a little more latitude. And this, by the way, the days were exactly what was in the contract
Mhm.
before. So in total, the step one may take up to 30 days to process, right? 10 days from the informal disposition to file, and then 10 days from there to meet, and then 10 days from there to render a written decision. And then the formal step to the superintendent's level is 15 days again. So file within 5 days of the administrator's decision, meet within 5 days of filing, and the superintendent's written response within 5 days. So all told, barring arbitration, which if you've never dealt with an arbitration process before, those aren't our timelines to control. Once you hand it off to an arbitrator, it's
Yeah, that's
it's
a
their
whole lot,
world, and
yeah.
we're all just floating around in it. So, the total timeline for our internal processes to resolve a grievance is 60 days, which is not a terribly unreasonable length of time for most issues to be resolved. Some contracts provide for a bit more time to deal through the grievance process. I think in regards to conversations that I've had with people in Citrus County in the past, people prefer a faster resolution. They prefer things to be taken care of a little bit more quickly. So 60 days from informal all the way to a final rendering from the superintendent is pretty reasonable, I think. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts. A couple of new items presented and a couple of hopefully solutions to the issues we had previously discovered.
I do have one question, and it may be overthinking it a bit.
Mhm.
The grievance form
Yes,
is not available through Human Resources, correct?
it'll be in the contract,
But it's not available through Human Resources because it's not our form.
correct.
Okay, that's one thing everybody just needs to understand. It's not a Citrus County School Board form. It is the association's form. Because it's not something that comes up very often, but as
Yeah.
you said, if it's included in it, it's not something that, hey, someone needs to show up to Human Resources to get it. It is available.
Right.
So now, does someone need to be a member in order to file a grievance?
So,
I'm trying to trick you.
no.
Okay.
Not necessarily. an individual who is not a member of the association could file their own grievances without representation. They cannot take it to arbitration. Arbitration is the
Has to be a paid,
exclusive purview of the bargaining agent. And because the grievance processes could result in reinterpretation of contract language, a formal filing, even at step one, must be reported to the association so that we can monitor to make sure that no settlements or agreements that come out of the grievance process alter the contract in some way.
The only reason I asked that one is, there was a part that says that copy will be sent to step 2 superintendent. C, superintendent within 5 days following his conference shall file his or her written decision with the association. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was on kind of the same page here, that a grievance is not a Citrus County School Board document. And it is a document of the association, but that even if someone's not a member, file a grievance, but a copy of that would be given to the association at the conclusion. Right?
And that's required at the administrator step 1 as
Yeah.
well.
So
So
just-
any written response at the formal level must be copied to the association, which would always be the CCEA president. And then we would place the formal grievance filing form into an appendix back of the contract.
Okay, whatever appendix number or letter that is,
What are we on, E now?
I'm not even sure anymore.
So I'm really super excited, y'all. Anytime I can read through the language and not have to ask somebody else questions about, what do you think they meant when they wrote this? I feel like we're in a good place. We're getting there, we're getting there.
There's a numbering issue on the back of the first page.
Okay,
It goes from 8 to 10. So I think the highlighted one would actually be
gotcha.
number 10 instead of number 11.
Oh,
Gotcha.
thank you, thank you, I didn't even notice that.
Thank you. Things gonna be so clean when we're done. Those are relatively easy fixes, so we can get a draft of the strike through as it would be presented for ratification to share here, and then hopefully reach a tentative agreement so that both contracts have exactly the same mirrored processes.
All right, before we TA this, we'll want to meet with my group to go over 1 or 2 things about it.
Sure.
I don't believe it'll be a major sticking point, I just want to meet with them to go over a couple of things. But while we're doing that, I'd like to present what I have on the TSIA, so that way
Okay.
you all can talk about that one. Kind of 2 birds, 1 stone kind of thing, if
Sure.
everybody's okay with that one. Okay. So as we talked about last time, TSIA, Teacher Salary Improvement Allocation, very specific language regarding that this year from the state. Supposed to be ratified, board approved by October 1st. Those of you who have a calendar nearby know that there's no way in the world that's possible. But I do believe that following the statute, we can hopefully have a tentative agreement. I can submit that to the state to say, hey, we have a tentative agreement pending the end of negotiations, be ratified by the association, the board approved, and, you know, we can move forward. But I believe that if we do have a TA, it can be attached and sent to the state, and they can go about their business, and we can continue on with the rest of the economics. So I got a copy here. I think I have enough copies. No, we've got like 20 of them, so I'm just gonna have y'all pass it around. This is, without a doubt, probably the wordiest proposal I've ever written. And we'll get to, you'll see why, because I quoted what came from the state Department of Education regarding the TSIA. We'll let everybody get a copy of it, and then we'll move on. If anybody would like the memo or the FAQ that came from the state, or the amount that, the PDF that shows the listings of what the monies that were distributed from the state, I'd be happy to send that to you. I just didn't think that needed to be part of the proposal, because it would be even longer. All right. So, as it says, per Florida statute, and this is verbatim from the memo, per Florida statute, teacher salary improvement allocation, TSIA requires the growth allocation funds, the $509,763, that is the growth allocation funds for Citrus County, be used for two purposes. Number one, increase personnel compensation costs, or number two, to provide salary increases to either full-time classroom teachers with at least 2 years of full-time teaching experience in a Florida public school and other instructional personnel. Now, this is a little bit different. It requires people to have 2 years of full-time teaching experience. In the past, we were able to say, some of you may remember I want to say maybe it's 4 or 5 years ago, we said any returning staff member received this, right? So if you come back, thank you. New people don't receive that much, but everybody coming back. This doesn't allow that. It requires 2 years of full-time teaching experience in the state of Florida. Okay, so if this is your second year with us, but you have 25 years in Minnesota, that's not 2 years of full-time teaching experience in Florida. Not sure where this all came from with the state, but that is what was written. That's the reason why I put the quote in here just like that. So our proposal is the next paragraph. All returning instructional personnel that are on the CCSB instructional salary schedule and have at least 2 years of full-time teaching experience will receive TSIA increase of $443, retroactive.
Should that say in Florida?
Oh,
Again?
yes, it should, sorry about that. Now, the number of eligible staff per the roster, Val, that we've been working off of is 943 people. The reason why it's a little bit different, I went through a couple of those people are not going to be working this year. One actually resigned since then. They had a leave of absence, they resigned, so we took them off. We had, of the people that had 1 year of experience, 17 of those people, I think it's like 80, 17 of them had 1 year of experience with us and then some years somewhere else in Florida. So that's where the number of 943. So the TSIA is $509,763. The benefits are at 22.3%. So if you take the 943 staff members we have, times $443, times the 22.3% benefits, comes up to $510,907.27. That is more than the TSIA. TSIA actually came up to $442 and like 3 cents. We rounded it up just to the next dollar. That's the reason why it is additional money added onto that. This is a requirement from the state. As you see the part at the bottom, it says any additional salary increases will be negotiated with CCEA through negotiation process. So this is not to say this is the end of the salary negotiation process for instructional. This is just a requirement of the state of Florida for how the TSIA dollars are spent. In years past, we had no problem. We spent well beyond all the TSIA dollars that we had. And last year, we were able to get the entire thing ratified before October 1st, if I recall correctly, right? Yeah, because we were still doing the road show whenever we knew exactly what the board match was going to be. So this wasn't an issue last year, but this year we won't be able to get everything done in time. which is why it had to be written out like this. So with the exception of, and thank you for noticing that, Ms. Harrell, it should say at least 2 years of full-time teaching experience in Florida public schools. That is, and I don't know exactly why they spelled it out like that in the memo. One positive of this, folks, is that we're above 47.5 for our starting salary. If we weren't, we'd still be trying to, all of this money would be going to try to reach that amount. Any questions on that one? I do apologize for leaving that part off. Thank you, Ms. Harrell, about the public schools in Florida. I can fix that whenever we step out and print up a new one for you.
So the frequently asked questions provided by the DOE stipulate that these growth allocation funds, the new dollars in the TSIA, cannot be applied to salary increases for paraprofessionals.
Pulling it up now. Okay, FAQs. No, because it says as listed in statute 1012.012, A through D, and E is paraprofessionals for instructional personnel. I know that's odd because they were listed A through E whenever I had to send out the liability insurance. So I'd let you know about that one, but this one's listed A through D. Want me to send you that, Val?
I have the FAQ.
Oh, okay.
I'm just skimming through it to.
It's question 5.
So, we're looking at $509,000, 510 if you round up, being generous, that the state has earmarked specifically for instructional personnel with at least 2 years or more experience in Florida public schools.
Yes. And I don't have, and you might know, last year was that language written in there just like that? We didn't
That's-
notice because we were moving beyond that, so this seemed a little out of character this year.
Yeah, that's new implementation.
I noticed it over the weekend whenever I was going through it again, and so.
And we know that there's gonna have to be an increase on health insurance this year.
Board match?
Yeah,
Yes.
so when we look at that 5168 plan, the employee only will be going up by $866.64 a year.
No. Don't know.
Well, that's the total.
If it went up that much a year, I'd be
Increase
very
in
happy
a
if it
year.
only went up $166 a year.
Eight.
Oh, okay, I thought you said the same, I'm like, oh, I'll take that. Yeah.
Yeah, so, the money that's in teacher salary improvement allocation looks like it will cover a little more than half of that. So I'm gonna be blunt and ask, what are we gonna be able to do about the, board match?
That I'm not 100% sure on. I can tell you that every dollar of board match is about $10,500. We have 1,500 people right now on the plans. All right, times the 7 months, December through June, and then we have to budget for an additional. So that's what the board match increase would be, about $10,500 per
Per
dollar.
dollar,
And that's now again, with open enrollment coming up, we truly don't know.
right.
But that's using the data we have now. That's 1,500 times 7 gets 10,000. That's how we've been doing the math for the past 8-9 years.
So, because I think there's gonna be difficult set of questions to be answered if we TA the teacher salary increase as a standalone without considering other components of an economic agreement. Do we have an idea of how much has been made available in this year's budget or through use of reserves to help offset the cost of the health insurance increases and provide salary improvements?
The reserves are not what people might think that we have as far as reserves go. Whenever we had a massive decrease in enrollment, that is, a lack of revenue coming in. So we don't have reserves we're not sitting at a 5-6% fund balance.
Has anything been accounted for in the budget in terms of providing cushion to allow for raises?
Our finance director is actually traveling back to work right now, so I don't have that answer for you right this second.
So it would be the district's preference to.
Well, this is not, it's not about preference, this is what it says the money can be used for.
Mhm. But the district would prefer to get this TA'd for the purpose of being able to report to
We're
the
able
state
to
by
report to the
October
state
1st.
that this is, we have this TA'd, our plan is that this money is, we have a tentative agreement with the association. Upon the end of negotiations, it will be ratified, hopefully, the board approved. If not, I'll send a letter to the state stating that this was a proposal that was made for TSIA dollars. Still either an open proposal or it's been turned down, and we're moving forward with negotiations. Not sure when it will be done. So that's what it will be. I mean, it's limited. This is for instructional personnel. It's listed in A through D. 2 years of teaching experience in Florida. There's a lot more limitations on this that I could find this year versus in years past. And I'm not sure exactly why.
Oh, I think that it's an attempt at responding to the concern that the TSIA since the initial implementation has been primarily targeted to people coming in the door.
No.
And that they're perhaps addressing anyone with 2 years or more in experience is somehow gonna make up for.
I thought you were telling about.
Years of compression?
I thought
don't
you were
know.
talking about our market adjustment thing. I'm like, Val, if you've been telling them our
No,
secret out there, I'm gonna be
that
upset
didn't
now.
come up. That hadn't come up. Okay, so the total amount, the 510, amounts to $443 per instructional staff person.
Yes.
And that is retroactive to July 1.
Yes, that's not a bonus, that is a salary increase. That's why it says that, it's not a one-time bonus to be,
Gotcha.
yes. So I'll let you all think about that if you need
Okay,
to for a few
yeah, we'll
minutes.
noodle it over and have some
Okay.
conversation. Can I share a little bit of feedback for you on
Yeah.
dress codes?
Yeah, I heard some feedback on that too.
Okay. So we did put out a survey asking for a little bit of feedback from instructional and support staff folks regarding how they felt about current contract language regarding staff dress code. And we got some interesting response. Not a whole lot of response though. Apparently dress code is not something that is hitting high on people's priorities right now. So of the folks, we had about 100 people, about 100 respond to the survey. And 60% of those folks believe that the staff are currently being held to the contract language as it exists. About 60% perceive that the contract language is.
So no bare midriffs and things like that? Okay, good.
58% reported that they do believe the language needs some updating. So,
Well, modernization,
yeah,
Yes.
the sweatbands and stuff like that.
I wouldn't see.
Because our assumption is that the hot button topics among most people were gonna be centered on jeans and leggings. We asked some very specific questions about jeans and leggings. And so what we got was pretty strong response on jeans. 76% believe that neat and clean in appearance is the standard to be applied. And
with a neat, did you say neat and clean?
neat and clean
Okay.
in appearance. And 60% believe that jeans should be permitted any day with collared shirt or school staff shirts. We did get, but those, by the way, were the two criteria that we got what seemed like consensus support for. 76% and 60% agreeing to those. And the next one, we only got 7% responding in agreement to. So I would say that those two are clearly the items upon which people might be able to agree.
Normally staff shirts are just on spirit days, so do they say that, or staff shirts any day with jeans?
No, they think any day with a staff shirt.
Yeah.
I mean in an uncollared staff shirt, like a
Yeah.
staff t-shirt.
Yeah, so on the miscellaneous feedback area, we got a lot of comments.
We have someone that wants to speak.
Yeah, we got a lot of comments in the miscellaneous feedback about being able to wear shirts that are education related. People commenting about an English teacher wearing a shirt that jokes about there, and there as a way to make connections with students. And somebody else commented that we should always welcome shirts that speak to community building, like team shirts or grade level shirts or whatever. And on the issue of jeans and t-shirts, that was really kind of the bulk of the feedback.
Go ahead, Sue.
Nope, she covered it.
Oh, she got it, she got it.
Thank you. So when asked about leggings, 81% responded they believe we may or do need language related to leggings and clarifying. So most of the feedback regarding leggings was leggings should be allowed when worn under a dress, was kind of the way it was summarized. Other miscellaneous feedback and comments?
Yes,
Yeah.
if it's worn under a dress, is
Under
there,
dress.
has there, do you know, has anybody in there stated that they had any issue where they got in trouble, I don't want to say trouble, that sounds horrible, that they were approached or talked to because they were wearing leggings under a dress? Because I would hope that that wouldn't be the case, I can't
No.
really, I'm just asking. 'Cause
Yeah.
I hadn't heard
No
that.
feedback like
We
that.
have someone that wants to speak.
Just to add on to that, I think in the student code of conduct, and I know we're talking teachers or
Mhm.
staff and not students, it's as long as what you were wearing without the leggings is still school appropriate. So like if you're wearing a really mini dress with leggings, that could not necessarily look as professional as if you're wearing a winter dress and you have leggings to help keep yourself warm.
Yeah.
So, the other miscellaneous feedback, 3 people commented that the language on tattoos is subjective and antiquated. The tattoos are far more mainstream now, and maybe we need to look at whether or not we're creating disruption simply by having our ink exposed. And we also had multiple people comment that there are more pressing issues to address. Dress code isn't really a priority. It doesn't reflect teaching ability. And no dress code should inhibit comfort on the job. When teachers are comfortable, they do their best work. So that was kind of the stretch of the feedback we collected.
As long as the leggings are worn under a dress.
Well, that was kind of the summary.
I'm not arguing with that one, I just wasn't
Leggings
expecting to
with a
hear that one,
dress.
okay.
We have someone that would like to speak, please?
I think this takes us back to the fundamental issue that we talked about last time, which is what are leggings? Are we talking like yoga pants that are skin tight? Or are we talking about what she and I are wearing, that are more like pants?
Yeah.
Because I can't conceive of wearing a dress over these, because they're pants.
Right.
So that gets into that tricky,
Being able
what,
to,
what,
what is a
what
legging?
is a legging?
You'll know it when you see it. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. So right now, the current language speaks to tightly fitting clothing, right?
Yeah.
Which leggings would conceivably fall into. They are tightly fitting clothing. If we're wearing them under a dress, however, probably less noticeable that it's leggings. So, we did get a handful of folks who simply said, we're professionals, treat us like professionals, you know, we're not dressing in a way that is befitting a professional, address it. So, not sure if you have any recommendations prepared. I know that there may have been more conversation on your side with administrators about professional dress.
Well, that's exactly what I got, was that we need to have some sort of dress code. Same thing about leggings. This is what it says, possibly mirror the language that is used in the student code of conduct, as Sarah just said. They didn't remember it exactly, but it's something about, hey, you can wear it without it. You know, the leggings, and it's probably okay if the leggings are on. So if you're just wearing a long t-shirt, that's not gonna be okay with or without leggings, but if you had a dress on, but that would be, I didn't hear anything in any of the conversations I had about the definition of leggings, thank goodness. Cause that was definitely not a conversation I was probably in the mood to have with anyone about that.
It's like 40% spandex or more, right? It's like, we're gonna start reading some labels,
Start
y'all.
getting into,
I just know that there's something like Halara leggings out there that look just like dress pants.
Right.
Do those count as leggings, or do those count as
Right.
dress pants?
Right,
But they do call them Halara leggings, dress pants, something like that.
yeah.
And that's not the only brand, that's just the one I see the advertisements for all
Until
the
she
time.
just told me that, I would have never known something like that existed, so that's
Yeah.
why, you know, I wouldn't want to get into something so specific as to what the people are wearing right this minute, that every year we have to come back and
Right.
add things or specify or something to that effect. I mean, so that's a lot of what I got was the talk about leggings. People, a lot of them said that, you know, they're fine with jeans and a collared shirt. They did not like to see t-shirts with jeans except on school spirit days. Get no holes in the jeans, but then that was addressed their neat and clean in appearance. That was the main thing that we had heard about the jeans, was what was being worn with the jeans. You know, collared shirt. Where's the other one at? I had it on me just a second ago. There's one, I have to go back and look at this one in the contract. It talks about, is there something in contract there about sleeveless tops,
2 inches in the, sorry.
right? Is that what it's, I get, whenever I start thinking this, I get the student code of conduct in my head sometimes too. So I just, do we know, is there something about sleeveless
I
top?
think there is.
I thought so. This is what they bring up, a shirt or blouse without sleeves that still has full shoulder coverage, e.g. professional blouses, shell tops, no idea what that is. So we start getting the language, I do not understand what that, oh, is that not really a thing? Okay. So,
2 inches in width unless covered by another article of clothing like a sweater, shirt, or jacket.
yeah. said, I don't know, full shoulder coverage to me seems like that could be a little bit excessive.
Go ahead.
I always said that, keep it the same as the students, 2 inches is pretty
Yeah.
thick, you're not,
Well, I think and that's pretty much what the student says, is
I mean,
still
because
say
we
2
talk
inches.
about, no, yes, it does
Yeah,
say
yeah,
2
yeah.
inches.
Yeah, so,
We talk about the, you know, showing too much
Yeah.
cleavage
Well-
and that type of stuff, I think, already. You shouldn't do that.
yeah, like I said, these are the comments that I got back whenever they brought up about the full shoulder coverage. That was the only outlier in that, and I didn't know exactly what that meant, because I've seen blouses that seem to be a lot wider than 2 inches that don't cover the full shoulder, that to me look professional. I don't think there's ever been an issue with that, has there? I mean, we're not talking about spaghetti straps or something. Go ahead.
I just want clarification with jeans and wearing t-shirts. If it is a school-related t-shirt, like a staff member wearing a t-shirt, is it okay if it's not on a Spirit Day? I want clarification.
Well, the contract right now says it's supposed to be on the Spirit Day.
So we're just gonna keep it on Spirit Days? Because I know a lot of people out there who do wear a t-shirt on a non-Spirit day.
Okay, we haven't made a decision on that, I'm just
Okay.
telling you what's currently in contract, and she asked what the responses I got back were on that, and that's what the responses I got back were on.
I just want clarification
Yeah.
if we're gonna.
Mr. Blum, I have a question for
Yes, ma'am.
clarification. The shell top shirts, is that a concern from the administration?
No, it was a recommendation.
To,
uh,
a recommendation for what?
I asked what they felt about the dress code, if there was any changes that they felt. And this is what they said: sleeveless top, a shirt or blouse without sleeves that still has full shoulder coverage, e.g. professional blouses, shell tops, or dresses.
So they would prefer not for employees to wear the shell top shirts.
No, they said that was an example of what would be, that has full shoulder coverage. This is what the email says. These are permitted as long as they maintain a professional appearance.
So it may be maintained as long as it is
Yeah.
professionally looking.
That was this recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah, I just
I
asked
just
for
wanted
recommendations. Yeah.
clarification.
I just asked for recommendations,
Yeah.
because again, until I saw this, I didn't know a shell top was a thing.
Well, I just saw a picture of a shell top, and I personally wear shell tops.
Okay,
And I'm a large woman, I have my arms, but it's covered, and it's a professional shirt. I mean, it's
see what
not
those
like
are.
showing anything, so I just wanted to be clear on the concerns of a shell top.
I have to look up what that is now.
I don't know what it is.
It's basically like a sleeveless shirt. I just,
It's
Yeah.
just
like a,
But it could be a.
it could be a blouse that's sleeveless.
Yeah. It's similar to what you have on,
Yeah.
Oh, because you're talking to me.
without the fringe on.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm looking at here, it looks extremely professional. Am I wrong, Val? I mean, these look like, these are, there's these things are like, yeah,
Yeah.
so,
They have
yeah,
I mean, they have a wide skirt.
yeah, so, that's the first time I'd ever heard that phrase.
So
They're
that
ju-
was my
yeah.
concern, because I wear them, and they're more than 2 inches wide.
And I wouldn't want to put things like that in there. That's like putting windsuits in there, and it really begins to almost immediately date what we're talking about in the contract, and then in 5 years, people go, what the heck was that they were talking about? So those are just the recommendations that came back.
Thank you for clarifying.
That was really the only one I'd seen about a sleeveless top. I think was there anything else? Yeah. Yeah, that was those are the only recommendations that, most of them, like I said, came back about the, oh, that's a different thing. So someone emailed me back with something different talking about. So those were the ones that I had heard. When it came to jeans, the only concern was with holes in them, but neat, clean, and appearance would cover that. And they were fine with the collared shirt, but they said that about the t-shirts would be during school spirit days, designated spirit days.
I'm gonna ask a very pointed question about CCEA shirts, because our association, provides members with CCA t-shirts to wear. So
Mhm.
are we restricting the days on which CCA can, or just with jeans?
I go back to right now what the contract says, we haven't agreed to anything else. And we're talking about what changes we want to make in the contract. But in the contract now, it says collared shirts or designated spirit days would be for the other shirts, right? Yeah, so that's what's written into the contract now.
Go ahead.
What defines designated spirit days? Because different schools have different events that happen, and we wear t-shirts for them, so I don't know the clear definition of only spirit day in the contract.
That would be the school administrator would determine what a spirit day is.
Okay, but we have multiple sporting events that happen on multiple different days. So that means that a staff member could wear a t-shirt that supported that sport.
As I said, a designated spirit day, so if you like, I mean, I can send one out to the principals and assistant principals right now and say that, you know, staff members can only wear this on days that you as a school designate in writing to everyone that it is a spirit day. The downside of that is I'm not looking right now for anybody to be admonished or get into any trouble for wearing something that, so that's not the goal of this, please don't think that it is,
Okay,
okay?
I just want clarification, because I know a lot of different people out there who do wear a t-shirt
Mhm.
on a non-spirit day, and it is related to their school activities, and that's what I want clarification on.
Okay.
Because, clarification on that.
Hmm.
Okay, so that was the feedback on dress code. Can't say that I was incredibly impressed with the volume of feedback we received. To me, it speaks to the fact that very few people are concerned right now with professional dress or dress code, or I think there are other issues that people have more concerns about.
Okay.
And then we had previously shared some sample language looking at expectations for teachers beyond the workday. And I wanted to circle back to those previous conversations to see if we could draw a conclusion this evening about what parameters might be appropriate with regards to identifying some limitation on what can be expected of educators to show up at work late in the evening, multiple times a year.
And I got some feedback, again, not as much as I did about the dress code, regarding that. Most of it ironically was about the dress code. That's why that's so important. As far as the work-life balance,
Yes.
most of the feedback I received involved, you know, I see all teachers attend open house, Title I night, another Title I night. It varies greatly by level. High school being different than primary school, as you can imagine. Middle school being what middle school always is, kind of in the middle of whatever that is. Most of it is that we just need the staff there whenever they're, you know, having these events for parents. No one liked the idea of having a set number of days. That could create issues for some schools. That's what one person said. Let's see what we had. Yeah. We prefer not to limit, you know, put a specific number of days. You know, we understand that people have situations at home in which they can't do this, which is why these things are scheduled, you know, weeks if not months in advance, let everybody know. Is the bigger concern the possibility of someone receiving discipline or an adverse evaluation regarding that?
I do think that it's largely about the pressure that people feel to be always and ever present anytime something is happening. If participation in events and activities outside of the standard regular workday is voluntary, and administrators encourage participation, we'll buy you dinner if you're sticking around for open house tonight, or, you know, we'll swap you some comp time on your work day in exchange for a couple hours participation at open house. I don't think you'll have any shortage of people attending. I think that teachers genuinely want to be present. I think they don't want to be made to feel that it is an open expectation that you're present for every single thing, always. One of the teachers in the room could probably speak to it, you know, more specifically than I could, but we've surveyed about what it is that people feel they need most when we come to the table for negotiations every year, and every year, workload and work-life balance show up. And so this is one area where our contract could speak a little more clearly about the understanding the employer has for the employee's personal obligations and for the value of their time. So, I welcome any of the teachers to speak to it if they feel so moved.
I'm just gonna say that you summed it up beautifully, though. I think the ramifications on evaluations is something that does loom somewhat large in some educators' minds, not, I would think, even most of them, but it's more about what the contract says and the implication of we're just expected to show up whenever told, whether we're paid or not.
So scrolling down to the page where it's listed. See exactly what it says.
In section K number 2, I believe that it could be fixed with a second sentence that simply stipulates that participation in meetings and programs outside of the regular workday shall be voluntary.
May I speak? I've listened to both sides, and I've worked in 2 other counties where teachers were compensated and there was never an issue. There was always people there. Sometimes people even volunteered to do more than the 3. I can say, working here at LPS, there's never been an issue with my administration under 2. But keep in mind, I'm elementary. And elementaries have a lot. I feel when my administrator values my time and is willing to work with me, understanding that I'm not able to participate, we have a level of understanding and respect for one another where I'm gonna do more for that administration because they are in turn respecting me and my life and my time outside of school. There are, as we have shared, some administrators that hold our teachers accountable for not being there. So this is where we come back to the question that's the elephant in the room. I don't know how that can be monitored other than through language in the contract. I want to pose a question to administration. I did hear from one young lady that's not here, from Citrus Springs Middle, where she stated that you all can't do it by yourselves. So if the admin here could share with us their views on how that you would make me, I'm your employee, I have a 95 and a 97-year-old grandparents that, they're my life, I love them. So there's gonna be some times where I cannot participate with what's happening at school. And there are others with those situations, young moms, young families. So if there is just respect for the time that we have outside of school, as you know, your teachers come in early and we leave late. So my question to admin, what would you like to see? I can hear from Mr. Barmer, nobody wants to put time. I can see that, because if everybody does the first three, what are you gonna do for the rest of the year? So that puts you in a situation. So what would you do? Go ahead.
I was just thinking, if you kind of know what your things are for the year, and you put them out, and you say how many people you need for this section, and this section, and this section, and this section, obviously not everyone can put their names in all of them, and so it could maybe space that out a little bit better, but that takes a lot of pre-planning. And sometimes, you know, we forget about, oh, we need people for this event now too, that we weren't thinking about.
But having that open conversation with your staff would be received better than saying, I'm expecting you to be
Right.
this and that. Anyone else would like to comment?
I mean, just for like the events that we have, when I think specifically about my school, it's open house, which we adjust hours for that. And then we have 2 Title I nights. I mean, my principal and I were just very understanding, and we listen because we recognize that you guys are people outside of school. And, you know, I can think like last year we had an entire grade level that couldn't participate in our Title I night. You know, nothing was held against them. We understand, and we just say, hope you can make the next one. So I guess at the school that I'm at, it's not as frequent as what it sounds like other people are referring to. So I don't have a lot to give because I don't feel like that's happening at my school, if that makes sense.
That's really nice to hear.
The high school level's a little bit different. Most of the events at night, I'm not talking about sports and whatnot, they're teacher created, most of our night events. The teachers have a passion for something, they have SGA, they have mentoring programs, whatever they have going on, and sometimes those cause us as administrators to have extra nights during the week that we're there because now moms and dads are there, right? But to follow up with your parent about your question about your grandparents, I tell every one of my teachers, you family first. You gotta be a mama, you gotta be a dad,
Yes,
you know,
I've never heard
you gotta
anything
be a
less than
child, a
administration.
grandparent, a grandchild.
And I've never heard that high school, some of them are teacher generated. I did not know that
Oh, yeah.
because I'm not in high school. I was only focusing on, because of what we heard, are like the football, the basketball, things of that nature, the homecoming dances and things like that. But being that it's teacher generated, I'm just gonna put this out there, if the teachers are generating it, I know that they're going to want to be there
Oh, yeah.
to support that. So now we're coming back around to the same question. How are we going to implement this whereby we can't satisfy everyone, but a clear understanding that teachers will not be held accountable or be reprimanded in some form or fashion for not participating. I think that's the question. Am I right on that?
I haven't seen an example of it yet in this is my 5th year as an administrator. I haven't seen that happen yet.
Yes, sir? Oh, you were just. I just wanted to pose that question to have that open conversation. I truly appreciate you all sharing your opinion. I do have a new insight, so thank you.
I would say if it's something that doesn't happen, if people don't get marked down on their evaluations and they don't get disciplined for not being able to participate in activities outside their workday, then offering them the assurance that that is our practice and contract only makes sense. So, how about this? Because we have things on the table to discuss in caucus. How about we break for a few minutes, give y'all a chance to take a look at the grievance proposal and see if there's anything else we need to adjust in that grievance language. We'll take a look at the proposal for the teacher salary increase information, and perhaps we'll go ahead and take a try at drafting the language around the teacher workday.
Chris, you'll let us know when it starts up. Thank you, sir.
We're live.
Ready? Mary Beth?
Okay, so did y'all have any discussion about the grievance language?
Yeah, I'm not positive. I don't believe we're going to be able to TA that tonight. There's some questions on some of the language I need to discuss with some colleagues first.
Okay.
But I'll have an answer for you definitely the next time we meet
Okay.
on that.
All right, so we understand that the parameters around the teacher salary increase allocation provide certain constraints and pressures to distribute the funds and demonstrate that we're making a good faith effort to get those funds properly allocated by a specified date. We know you have a reporting deadline for next week. And I think we generally acknowledge that, yes, this is probably the manner in which that $510,000 would be or could be distributed. Because these are uncertain and precarious times, and because this agreement does not provide for all instructional staff salaries, not everybody is included in this, and because the increases on the health insurance premiums are almost twice the amount of the increase that comes from the TSIA, our team is asking for assurances and some additional agreement to move things along. There's an interest in seeing some of the issues that we've brought to the table multiple times addressed, and for us to be able to carry that back to our bargaining units as a sign of good faith that progress truly is being made. And so we are looking at the district's initial proposal on the teacher salary improvement allocation. We are recommending a clarification in the last sentence of the proposal. The parties agree that this tentative agreement does not conclude economic negotiations for the 25-26 contract and will continue discussions for the purpose of settling raises and the board match for health insurance, which we believe is what you've already indicated.
Can we change the word raises?
To what?
Something else?
Increases.
Increase?
salary adjustments, whatever, I don't know if raises is one of the words the legislature uses. It's like COLAs and other, we've kind of managed to,
Okay,
that sounds.
for the purposes.
I hope you understand what, that's why the statement we had at the bottom was to say, we were not done, this is separate from everything else,
I think
so.
that's the way we took it. We
Yeah, okay.
would like to make sure that when people read that statement, they read it the way that I think it was intended, which is that there's more. But wait, there's more, right? So in addition to the agreement on teacher salary increase, we are asking for movement on the additional paid holiday for our non-251 support staff. Last time we met, we provided a spreadsheet that showed that there are existing inequities in the number of paid holidays among our support staff. If they're not working 251 days a year, they only get one paid holiday in their entire contract. And we have presented that according to the current salary roster, it looks as though the total for an adjustment to provide that additional day would amount to around $80,000. We understand that by locking that in, it would mean that when we continue discussions on salary improvements, the salary improvements would be calculated including that increased amount. And then finally, we are also asking that tonight we reach agreement on improvements in the instructional contract for the school day. We're looking at Article 7, Teacher Rights, Section K, School Day Number 2. We are asking that teachers be encouraged to be available to attend meetings and programs with students, parents, and/or professional personnel, including administrators and other supervisory personnel. And we are adding, when administration identifies priority events for staff attendance, instructional staff who are unable to attend for any reason will communicate such circumstance to administration. Inability to participate in activities scheduled outside of the regular 7.75-hour day will not be considered grounds for discipline or reduced rating on the teacher evaluation instrument.
Question on that one. Right before the word inability, it says communicates those circumstances to administration. Can we put it in advance or advance notice? So not like, hey, the thing starts at 4 o'clock, my day ends at 3:45. On my way out the door, I let them know I'm not gonna be here.
So I think the concern is that you may have people who have emergencies that arise.
Okay?
And-
And that's no different than what we always have, whenever there's, even if it's situations during the school day.
Okay, so in advance barring an emergency?
Is there another word we can use other than emergency?
Unforeseen circumstances?
Yeah, I'm just trying to, I don't want it to, because emergency sounds like it is something, house is on fire, and that may not be the case. It may be that, hey, my mom can't pick my kid up from daycare right now, so that's, emergency becomes a very, very subjective thing, and I don't want somebody to be caught in a trap where, well, that's not really an emergency, so what was it?
ahead.
Was it Craig or?
Okay.
Unforeseen circumstances?
Yeah, does that make sense? I don't want to put something in, I wouldn't want something being in there that sounded as if it was, does that language look okay to everyone,
Yes.
barring unforeseen circumstance?
Are we going to find how far in advance? Then it should be given?
I mean, you could say that, instructional staff who are unable to attend for any reason will communicate to administration no later than 24 hours in advance, barring unforeseen circumstances. I kind of sort of worry that then you end up with everybody coming 24 hours ahead of time and saying, I can't do it.
Yeah, I wasn't really hoping to try to put definitives on there like that. I was trying to, leave it up to some professionalism when it comes to that without.
Reasonable amount of time?
We love that word reasonable, don't we?
That was in the grievance. That's something we took out of with a reasonable person or something. I forget, I have the wording over here.
We love, got reasonable all over the place, yeah.
And I get exactly what you're saying. I just,
What about, like, how much notice would you need so that you could continue your event?
I would think that time enough for you to be able to find somebody to replace that person, but you probably need like a day or two, right? You'd be hard pressed running up to somebody and saying, hey, somebody just found out, can you change your evening plans and stay after all? I'm sure it could happen that way, and people would probably say yes, but,
As the timekeeper, I just wanna say it's 6:41.
thank you. So, can we say instructional staff who are unable to attend for any reason will communicate 48 hours in advance? That may mean you're getting phone calls on Sunday. Emails on Saturday about something happening on a Monday.
I think it should be school days. Because what if you don't check your email over the weekend and you find out the morning of the event? Again, I don't ever plan anything on Monday nights anyways, but.
They're 2 work days in advance, barring unforeseen circumstances.
yeah, this brings up a good point because short of that would be the unforeseen circumstance. If on Sunday you find out that, your kid's throwing up.
Sure.
And they can't go to school that next day, so you aren't going to school that next day. That is an unforeseen circumstance. Those of us with kids, we know how that goes. It's always on Sunday, usually Sunday evening, early Monday morning, right? So, yeah, I would say work days would make a little more sense. I would say 2 would be, I feel, unless someone feels differently, I think 2 would be enough. Makes sense to me, but I'm not an English person. Val, does it make sense to you?
Yes.
Does anyone else have any questions about it? Hopefully we don't have that many events at each school where this is something that should be coming up on a weekly basis at each school. Hopefully most of these events are, we pretty much know in advance when they're happening. So I think we can probably work through most of those situations in a case-by-case basis. Yeah, that works for us, Phil.
Okay.
No one else has any?
And the TSIA language, continued discussion for the purpose of settling salary increases and the board match for health insurance.
Hang on a second. I don't mean to be picky. The second line there, 25-26 contract, do we put instructional? I know we've mentioned it several times through there. I just don't want there to be any confusion that this has to be just for instructional, not support per the statute. Where it says 25-26 contract, do we put instructional or
instructional and support?
No, this is what, this,
That includes support.
yeah, but yeah, this is just instructional because of how the link, because of the statute, that's all. It doesn't conclude anything for support, hasn't even begun with this TE,
I know.
with this TA, so that's,
So this is really like an MOU, like a memorandum. It doesn't live in the contract past the year's salary agreement. And I would venture a guess that our support folks would also like assurance that we have not concluded the conversation. If my health insurance is about to go up 10%, I want to know for sure that there's going to be discussion.
no, there will be discussion, don't worry about that.
And as far as adding the additional paid holiday, I do want to clarify that the second holiday, we would like to designate in the second semester to ensure that the paid holidays get paid out somewhat equitably over the course of the contract for the employees. That's why we named Dr. Martin Luther King Day as the day.
And that's what I'll have to sit down with Ms. Cox, our finance director, and go over that one with her. There's a couple aspects of that that we need to iron out. What's gonna be the total amount with any salary increases that occur, as well as what's the total amount for our vacant positions that we have now to be added into that. So that one, I can't sign that one tonight. I have to sit down with her and make sure that we have the money straight on that before we move forward with that one.
Okay, well, our team is pretty clear that they're gonna stand together
Okay.
through this bargain, and so what they suggested, we might be prepared to offer, since you have an October 1st reporting deadline, that we may be able to meet in a bargaining Zoom to revisit just these 3 agreements sometime before October 1st. That would give you time to have the conversation needed with
Mhm.
finance around Article 9.
Yes, I should be able to meet with, what day she's here this week? I can't get into Skyward to be able to see the calendar, so. But that should be possible, yeah. Should be able to meet with her when she gets back and sit down and go over that part of it.
She will be back this week.
That's what I'm trying to pull them now, just to make sure. That's what I was trying to get into Skyward to see. Yes. So I should be able to speak with her. I'd like to say I'd be able to speak with her tomorrow, but I do have a board meeting tomorrow, workshop in the morning, so it might be a little bit chopped up and that kind of stuff. I'll be able to speak with her by Wednesday.
Okay. So I could make a Thursday afternoon Zoom possible for us
See
after 2 o'clock.
what I got Thursday. After 2?
Right, and I realize that not all of the team will be available to attend at 2:30, something like that. But if we're limiting the discussion to just these 3 items, those who can get on, please do. We'll reach whatever agreements we can.
You're good?
Yes.
Can we get on at like 3 or 3:15? Can we just join you guys?
Oh, okay, that's, now what she's saying is that if it's still
Oh,
going
yeah,
on,
we'll-
she'll put the link
Yes,
out
yeah.
to everybody,
And then we
okay?
can just join
Yeah.
when we are off.
Yeah,
Yeah, in fact, I'll send the calendar invite tonight. Does
So-
two,
well, at least Brendan and I and Val can be on there, so she can take minutes.
Okay.
That's what we're talking about. You'll record it like you always typically do, is that okay?
Yep.
And then we'll go from there. We'll just, if you can send me the invite, I'll put it on the website, school board website.
Okay, I'll put it on the screen.
Okay.
will do.
So you're-
Okay, so that's September 25th at 2:30 PM. We'll send a Zoom link invite to everyone. It will be a limited session, but hopefully it'll help us make progress on some things.
You'll send that invite tonight, you said?
I can take care of it tonight.
All right, thank you.
And then, agenda items for the next meeting, which is October what? Sixth, October 6th is our next go.
Mhm.
Will we be ready to talk salaries on October 6th?
Yes.
Okay. We'll put that at the top of the agenda then, because I think people see this come out, they're going to wonder how long they'll need to wait before they get the rest of the details about covering that health insurance increase.
Well, when you say salary, we're talking about board matches as well, correct?
Correct.
Okay, those all comes, as we've talked about before, same pot of money,
Right.
so it's all gonna be in there together.
Okay. All right, thank you
Okay.
for hanging in, we appreciate it, and we said 6:30. A little long, getting things done.
All right, so she'll send out that invite to everybody. I'll put it on the school board website, or have that put on the school board website tomorrow morning, and we'll meet on the 25th Zoom, and then on the 6th in person down here.
Okay.
All right.
4:30?
Yes, ma'am. All right, we all good?
Okay, thank you.
All right.